But then I realized, well, since I'm like thinking about the new approach, it has to be also not only the product that has to be cool, it has to be the way we do it.
When a lot of people think about compassion, they think about empathy. And actually the Dalai Lama delineates those quite nicely by saying empathy is about the desire to understand a person, and compassion is actually putting a positive action on that knowledge. And the next part of it around building a culture and values within a business. Our previous MD of APAC, who at that time was the HR director for LinkedIn, actually went through this process of putting in culture and values and really getting us to understand who we are and what we are as an organisation. That's over 11 years ago, and our CEO, Jeff Weiner, talks about today that our culture and values are our biggest competitive advantage. It really enables us to scale to the 10,000 person business we are by everyone actually feeling they're part of the organisation. And it comes back to what you're saying about the mission and vision is the most important. Our vision is about creating economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And I think for all of you that are in startups, it's so critical to really have that vision and mission, but also your guiding principles, your culture and values from very early on in the organisation. It's the only way you're going to be able to scale, and you can be able to delegate people to really take your business forward for you. Because as business owners, you're doing everything yourself to begin with, but you need everyone else to be part of that, to feel the passion, to be able to take it forward.
There are people who are living here present, wide awake, and being so in touch, in tune, and involved with whatever's going on around them and being with it. And there are some of us who are just so unmoved by everything that goes on around us, so untouched. And yet there are others who just simply want to be taking a step out and recording our lives and posting it for the world to see, but not really living it. It's almost like having this checklist of bucket list just to say that I've done it, rather than being involved in an entire experience. And yet there are others who are just so distracted by multiple things that are going on. And I see that, in my work with executives and with leaders in organizations, that the best ones, the best leaders are the ones who, they say walk the floor, and they're the ones who are connected with the people in their teams, the people in organizations, rather than by, okay, this is what needs to get done, and whilst I'm in this meeting, I'm thinking about the next meeting that's to come, and then I'm living out ahead in the future or thinking about things in the past. And that consciousness really begins with us, yes, with self, and certainly living it wide awake, just being here, being present, and being connected with the people around us and with us.
We all see ourselves as a leader somewhere in our lives. You have to be a leader, at least in your own life, in your family, in your business. Even within a company, you need to be a leader because it means you can take action. And when we speak about connections in business, in all of our businesses, what we try to do, and it really connects to what Scott was saying, is bring up some kind of a culture that we believe in into the business. We want to see our company as a conscious company, and we want our company to connect with other companies and to attract better customers. We need to teach our employees about giving back and about supporting. And I really love the movements that LinkedIn have. I didn't know about all of those, but incredible stuff. So what we do every single month is we take our whole team, the whole company, we take them somewhere out of the company, somewhere in the city, and we do something for good. If you want to connect as an entrepreneur to customers and to business partners, to attract investors, to mentors, I find that this is very much what Thaddeus was saying initially, but looking at people in a more positive manner. And a big part of what I teach on my new code of networking is to look at strangers as potential future friends. And to look at strangers not as who are you and what do you want from me and what do you do, but more about, is there something that I can do to maybe help you? Really trying to be helpful to strangers, and you're willing to connect with someone, and you have a how can I help you mindset, not how can we do business mindset. Not can I have your name card, maybe you can become my client, maybe we can do business. If we cannot do business next, who's the next person for me? It's more, let's connect, and maybe there's something I could learn from you. And looking at people as mentors, and looking at people as future friends and potential future relationships that you might have with them. This makes you a lot more conscious. This really puts you in the now. So for me as a conscious leader, you can think long term, but really it takes small steps. Like the last panel was saying before, take very, very small steps. Yeah, you could think about the bigger picture and I'm just one person and what am I really doing? Don't worry about that. You doing something is you showing other people around you what you could be doing. You're teaching your family, you're teaching your employees, you're teaching your coworkers that taking small steps will lead somewhere very, very big into the future. And if you don't know the future, connect with some visionaries who will tell you where the future is going, and then it might even inspire you even more.
And then I read this book. I think it only exists in German. It's basically called, in English translation, A Psychoanalysis of Capitalism. And it shows that capitalism introduced linear thinking and transactions that have beginning and ends. Before, we had a circular economy. Stuff was going around. There was by default no waste because we were operating in a circular fashion, actually coinciding also with the invention of money, right? Linear transaction create loose ends. Loose ends represents waste, right? Represents in economic term external cost, right? I said if we do this, we have to create in the way we organize a circular model. If you look at an organigram comes from organisms, right? Organisms are circular, but organigrams are linear. They have tops and they have bottoms, right? Like loose end. So let's make it different. Let's make it round. And actually that makes sense because an organization creates value in a value chain, right? And it goes around, right? You innovate, you create a new product, you sell it, you have revenue, you innovate again. And if you're doing your job properly, it's actually a circle with an increasing radius, also known as a spiral, right? And organisms, spirals are like so much nature, basically shells are spiral. It also means there's no top, no bottom, right? We think of our company now as an organism where people have a function, are an organ. That means they need to give something to somebody else and they need to get something from somebody else, right? And when I give something, I have the obligation to give. I'm like the subordinate, but if I need something from somebody, I'm kind of like the boss, right? But it's basically the circular idea, right? Like the Knight's Table of Arthur was also a round table because it was a statement about there is no boss here, we are among equals, right? So what it means is you need to have a shared sense of mission and purpose, right? And you need to know what is it that you are doing in your company, in your organization, to make sure that the organism as a whole works well, right? And then my job as kind of like a founder is I try to stay out of operation. I look at this organism that I've created and I am the doctor. I am the person who intervenes when the organism is getting a fever or an increased heartbeat, let's say. And then I'm like, okay, what's wrong? Let's fix it, right? So my role is to empower, right? And so we have the product, right? But then the organizational style, I actually think is even much more important about the how, right? To actually take this idea about sustainable thinking, ingrain it in the way we operate this. And this is, of course, a very exciting experiment right now. Bapao is 1.5 years old. So far, I'm happy with where we are, right? But like this is kind of like the journey, like based on my thinking in terms of we have to take this consciousness not only to product, but also how we relate to each other.